All right, so here's homework for missing dimensions. So day 4 on the HyperDoc, missing dimensions homework. It's a front and back. So here's the back side. Okay, so we've got a front and back here. And I'm going to start by just going over writing the formulas. All right, so we've got the volume of a cylinder is 339 and 1200ths meters cubed. If the height is 12 meters, what is the radius of the cylinder? So we're going to start with writing the formula, since there's no formulas on this sheet at all. So we've got volume down here, right? We've got cylinder. So we're going to write the volume of a cylinder. Volume equals pi r squared h. Pi r squared h. Okay. I might skip down here to number 2. This shape right here is a cone, and it tells you it's a cone. Okay, so on our sheet, we're going to go volume of a cone. Volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. So volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. All right, so that's kind of what I want you to do first on all of these. Okay, let's start by plugging in either for the v, the radius r, or height h, and v is volume, right? So the volume here, it tells you that the volume is 339.12, so that goes for v. 339.12. Okay, we're going to leave pi, 3.14. All right, we don't know the radius, okay, but we do know the height is 12. So I'm going to go 12 for my height, and I'm going to plug in I have to leave r squared, right? I like to keep the variable that I'm looking for at the very end. So if you wrote it r squared times 12, personally I would rearrange those, okay? I'm going to rewrite this right here. You don't have to, okay, because you've got to decide which way you want to do this. So we've got 339.12 equals 3.14 times 12 times radius squared. Okay, some of us are going to want to multiply this, and so let's do that. All right, so in your calculators, you're going to put 3.14 times 12, right? And so this is 37.68 radius squared equals 339.12. Okay, I think the majority of us are going to do it this way, so you can go ahead and write that. Some of us know that this right here, I can divide by all of this right there. 3.14 times 12, 3.14 times 12, okay? You have to be careful because in your calculator, you have to keep these parentheses, and I feel like this is, some people can do this and some are going to want to do this, okay? This is going to make more sense in the solving part. So I'm going to show most of my work this way. All right, and so since there is multiplication here between those two, I'm going to divide 37 and 6/8. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. 37.68, right? This side it cancels, so I have r squared equals, ready? We're going to take 339.12 divided by 37.68, and that's 9. Right? We're still not done because we've got to get rid of the square, and remember what the opposite of exponents are, taking its root. So we've got to take the square root, and what you do to one side, you do to the other. And so my radius equals 3. Now remember, it's a radius, so it's a single dimension, so it's just meters. It's not meters cubed because the volume is what's cubed. All right. I'll do one cones now. Let's see. So the volume of this cone is 678.24 equals 1/3 doesn't change, 3.14 doesn't change. They give us the radius here in this image. Okay, they did only give us radius the half, not the full. So we're going to use 6 squared, and they're asking what the height is, so we need to look for the height. All right. This one's slightly different in that we have a fraction, so we want to take care of that fraction right away. All right, so we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal, right? Because we're multiplying, so we would divide, but we don't divide fractions. We multiply by the reciprocal. And then what I do to one side, I do to the other. 3 over 1 is just 3, right? So in your calculator, let's make our life easy and know that those cancel, all right? So on this side, I've got 3.14 times 6 squared times my height. Okay, please make sure you're writing this because I'm only doing an example of one example of each shape. So you want all of this work in here so you can go back and refer to it. So 3 times 678.24. Right, we've got 2,034.72, right? And I can go ahead and multiply those. I probably should have done that right there, right? I could have done that already. 3.14 times 6 squared. So this isn't changing, 2034.72. But when I multiply those two, I got 113.04 times the height, right? So go ahead and make sure that you've got this all written. Press pause if you need to, all right? And since these two are multiplying, we're going to divide both sides by 1304. By 1304, right? It cancels on this side. I'm left with my h alone, and let's do this math in our calculator. Divided by 113.04, and it's 18. Came out nice and clean for us. Right, let's give it a label. Remember, height is not a three-dimensional measurement. It's just single dimension, so that's just 18 inches. All right, so your cylinder, go ahead and write your formula. It's already there. Go ahead and write that. We've got another cone. Write your formula. I'm going to jump down here to number 5, this sphere. All right, so I'm going to start by writing the formula for a sphere. Okay, volume, sphere, 4/3 pi r cubed. Don't forget to cube that. All right, so we've got the volume, plugging that in for V. And 4/3, and we can change that to 3.14, and we don't know the radius. So there's really only one thing to plug in here. All right. Throw that line down. All right. Let's get rid of this fraction, right? Just like we did on the 1/3 for the cone. We want to get rid of that fraction first. And since that's multiplying, we should divide. However, we don't divide fractions. That's right, multiply by the reciprocal. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. All right. Let's do that. Right, those cancel. So then in my calculator, put that over 1, and we multiply straight across, right? So I've got 904.32, 904.32 times 3, right? Numerator times numerator. And that gives me, it gives me 2,712. Don't clear your calculator. 2,712.96. And in my denominator, I've got 1 times 4, which is 4. And so notice that I'm just going to divide this by 4. So that's why I said don't clear your calculator. We're just going to go divide 4. And we get 678.24 equals my radius cubed. Oh, just kidding. 314. 3.14 times the radius cubed. Okay. Since I'm out of room, and you probably are too, like I've got this space, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this over here. So I've got 678.24 equals 3.14 r cubed. All right. Okay, so since that's multiplying, I'm going to divide and divide. Such a bummer, there's no pi in my volume, so I didn't get to cancel that pi. All right, those cancel. And, oh good, I still have that in my calculator, right? So I just get to divide by 3.14. Otherwise, I'm taking 678.24 divided by 3.14, and that's 216 equals r cubed, okay? And remember, what's the opposite of cubing a number? Taking its cubed root. So don't say divide by 3. Taking its cubed root. Hopefully some of you already know this cubed root. You know the cubed root of 125 is 5, right? So we're not too very far off. Okay, if you don't have this memorized, don't worry. Your calculator, you're going to press 3, second, and you're going to press this caret right there because it's going to get to that x cubed. So you should have 3, an x, and then the root symbol, and then 216 equals, and you should get 6. If you didn't get 6, please follow the directions and do that again because you do need to know how to do that. All right, so my radius is 6, and remember, it's just meters. It's just a single dimension. All right, the rest you get to do on your own, 3, 4, and on the back, there is more, so you get to do those on your own.